Okay, it somehow happened again, and way sooner than I thought it would. Mario Kart World has been broken again. This is now the second time that a glitch has been used to break the time trial world record for a track, this time on Crown City. And yes, this is real. If you go online and look at the online rankings for Crown City and open the first one and download the world record Ghost by Pluto and watch it, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so I tried to race against this ghost. Where is the ghost? Why is Pluto all the way over there? I tried to race against this ghost, and when I tell you, I couldn't even see the ghost. I used up all 3 of my mushrooms just trying to find where is Pluto, and it wasn't until halfway through lap 1 where I finally caught a glimpse. Not to mention beating this world record. How am I supposed to beat this world record? How did this world record even happen? Well, this is what I'm here to explain to you today. I'm going to start by explaining to you a few basics about time trials in Mario Kart. And we have to get all the way down to the basics because things that you just assume are true about time trials are about to be broken. So time trials is the way that you speed run in Mario Kart. Once you're put on a track and you start a race, you just need to finish this race as fast as possible. And there are several things you may naturally assume. Every time that you start the race, all the conditions are held to be exactly the same as every other attempt. For example, every time that you start a time trial, you will always start at the exact same place. Obviously, it would be unfair to start at a different spot. And you may not have thought about this much before, but if the track has moving elements, and in the case of Crown City, there are moving cars, these cars are the same every single time. You will always see the exact same cars at the exact same positions at the exact same time every single race. And this is especially important on Crown City because you can use jumps in order to bounce on the cars to get a trick boost, but also because every time you bounce on a car, you gain 1 coin. And if you have more coins, then the top speed of your vehicle will be higher. So you want to get more coins in order to go faster, and you especially want to get these coins earlier into your time trial. That way you get to benefit from a higher top speed for longer. So naturally, when speedrunners try to break the world record time on Crown City, they have already memorized the currently fastest known routes through the track, which includes exactly where to drive on the road, on the rails, which cars to bounce off of, and exactly when to get each coin. But this also includes very difficult techniques, such as tricking on the very edge of the road for a speed boost, but coming back to the road immediately. When you do this, you risk falling off the track, so if you mess it up, then you have to pause the game and press restart in order to try the whole thing again. So that is how speedrunning a time trial works in Mario Kart. But today, one speedrunner broke all of these rules. This is the story of the first ever glitched world record on Crown City in Mario Kart World. So, Pluto, what are you doing all the way over there? If you compare the old world record, which was also by Pluto, to the new world record, then what you'll immediately notice is that this is completely unfair. The run is going to play out very similarly for the most part. It's just that the new world record had a gigantic head start, and that is because of a glitch. And you're probably thinking right now, okay, that's pretty lame. We're just starting way further ahead. Of course you can break the world record with this. Just do the glitch. It's easy, right? Well, that's what I thought at first, until I realized what it actually takes to do this glitch. Just doing the glitch is actually the most interesting part about this entire story. Because yes, Pluto is starting unreasonably far ahead, but in order to do this, he had to wait for 21 hours. Now I'm going to show you how to perform this glitch if you want to get world record. So first go into time trials and select Crown City. Race against a ghost, kind of makes sense, but they're going to be offset, so you can try solo race. Doesn't really matter. And then when this screen comes up, we're going to do controller disconnection abuse. This is the first glitch we're going to do. So start by, instead of pressing A, you press home and then A very, very quickly like this. Home A. Okay, then on top of the Pro Controller, press the sync button to disconnect it. I know this sounds just like what I said in the last video about a glitch, but this is actually going to be different. Make sure you have another controller connected. In this case, I have the red Joy-Con, the right side one. It has a home button, which is important, so that's why I'm using this one in particular. I'm going to re-enter the game using the Joy-Con, and this screen will come up. Then I'm going to press L and R to reconnect my Pro Controller, and then repeat the same thing, which is leave this screen by pressing Home A very quickly. Home A. And then disconnect the Pro Controller by pressing Sync, and then go back in with the Joy-Con. And we're just going to repeat this. Nintendo, please don't brick my Switch 2. I know you have the power to do so, unless maybe if I disconnect from the internet that you won't have the power to do that. I don't think they're going to do anything about this, but who knows. All right, we're in. Press home quickly. Oh, I panicked. When that happens, you have to press home on the Joy-Con. Okay, you have to leave out of that screen. Next, see how the Joy-Con is player 1? That's not good. We need to, from the screen, without re-entering the game, we need the Pro Controller, or whatever your main controller is, to be back to player 1. So I'm going to press some buttons on the Pro Controller, and now it's player 2. You can see by the 2 lights. So we're going to go over to settings. Once it's settings, you can go to controllers and accessories and then change grip in order, and then just press L and R, and this turns me into player 1 on the Pro Controller. I'm going to head back here, and now once I enter the game, let's take a look. Look at that. The whole thing is glitched. Now, there's a few things you don't want to do. I don't remember the full list, but definitely don't pause the game. Don't enter photo mode. There might be something else, but we don't reconnect to controller, I think. Yeah, it's probably those. And now we can drive around freely. There's no timer. A lot of the UI is gone. And Lakitu can't pick me up. Watch, I'm going to go out of bounds. Lakitu can't pick me up! So this is a way you can go exploring anywhere. You can explore anywhere in the game with this. Look at Toadette. She's so sad. Let's put her out of her misery. I'm going to pause. I said not to pause. If I unpause right now, I'm actually going to have the entire game get fixed. Everything's going to come back. I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work wasted. So what I'm going to do now is hit restart, but we are going to execute that entire glitch again on the restart button. So instead of just pressing A, I'm going to press home A really quickly. Like that. And then disconnect this controller by pressing the sync button. Yes, we are doing this all again. And then come back in with the other controller, press L and R on my Pro Controller again, and then leave by pressing Home A. Crazy that anyone ever discovered this. There we go. Home button with the Joy-Con. Remember to get out of there as soon as it starts loading. So that's exactly the same idea. I'm going to reconnect my Pro Controller, but it is player 2, so I'm going to go into settings and change it back to player 1. So controllers and accessories. Change grip order, press LR, it's player 1, just confirm that, and then come back in. Look at that. I literally can't do anything. I don't know, I think I can pause. I think I can pause, but I can't move the camera, I can't look backwards. I can wave. Can I jump? Oh, I can jump too. Yeah, okay, so here's all the things you can do. Now see this car coming up to me. Let's watch what happens. Yeah, I did not move forward at all. If you want to check, if you look back a few seconds, Toadette is exactly the same size as she is now. In other words, she has not moved any closer to the camera. And let's watch another car, right? Every once in a while, a car is going to hit me, make me bounce up, and I've landed back in the same spot. Unlucky. Okay, so now we're just watching Toadette get run over by traffic. What was the point of all that? Well, we have now put the game in a very glitched state. Almost nothing has loaded. The game has come in and that's it. The camera has not turned around. Lakitu isn't here to do the countdown. There's no map. I can't see my coins. Nothing has loaded except, for some reason, the cars are moving. And so you may have a few questions now. How long can we stay here? It seems like we can just stay here forever. As far as we can tell right now, there's no limit to how long you can stay here. Okay, so why would you want to stay here? Well, the cars will continue to come in. And at any time, you can press the sync button on your Pro Controller to start the race, which means you will be starting the race with a slightly different version of the track, where the cars are on a different cycle. So as you drive through the track, instead of the cars being in all the usual spots that you expect them to be in, they will be in different spots because you have already let the pattern of cars run through the track for a long time. And as you can imagine, there may be benefits to having a different car cycle that potentially leads to a faster speedrun. But that's actually not the main reason why we are here. Approximately every 15 seconds, a car is going to move through your vehicle. And anytime that it does this, it bounces your vehicle upwards and then right back down to where it started. And that probably sounds useless, but watch this. Did you see it? My vehicle was here, a car ran into it, and then it was here. I've actually moved forward. When a car runs into you, there seems to be a random chance that your vehicle will just move forward. And typically it's by a lot more than what you saw happen to me. And remember, we are still in a glitched state of this track where at any moment we can choose to start the time trial starting from exactly where your vehicle is located. So if you are able to gradually get pushed forward, then you can start the time trial with your vehicle further ahead. Now that sounds simple enough, but it's actually kind of ridiculous because there's only about a 1% chance with each car hit that you're actually going to get pushed forward at all. And after doing extensive testing, it has been found that every hour that you wait, you get pushed ahead enough to save about a fifth of a second, 0.2 seconds, in your resulting speedrun time. When this was first discovered, Pluto commented on my last video about the Mario Bros. Circuit glitch and said that he'd be waiting for 12 hours to try and set a world record. And I swear, I thought this was a joke. It was not a joke. At that time, on December 7th, 2025, Pluto was waiting for 12 hours to get his vehicle pushed forward just enough to get an attempt at a world record. And on Pluto's very first run after waiting for 12 hours, this is what happened. Pluto is starting the run nearly 2 seconds ahead of where he should be, which means he's starting with a massive advantage. But the nerves start to kick in. Pluto is trying to take this seriously, but after the first turn, he already misses 2 coins and realizes that the cars are on a different cycle than usual, so he cannot go for the usual time trial strategies. Then he comes up to this shortcut on the wall behind the grass and nails it, but has a bit of a bad bump coming out of it, which gives him bad alignment into the next rail, and he kind of messes up this rail too, with already having lost 2 coins and coins from cars and making several mistakes. Pluto decides this is over and just clips it. We now have our first proof of concept that this will actually work, and it's just a matter of time before a new world record is achieved. So at this point, you might think you know how the rest of this story goes. Pluto simply waited for more time to get a bigger head start, and then didn't mess up the run and got the world record. Surely it's as simple as that. What reason could there be for anything different to happen? Well, at the same time, speedrunners are theorizing about which other tracks might get broken. After all, Mario Bros. Circuit had already been broken using a similar glitch by getting rid of the tires so that you can jump straight into the shortcut, which saves enough time to set a new world record. Mario Bros. Circuit was the first track to have a glitch world record in Mario Kart World. But it doesn't have to be the only one. Just like the cars on Crown City, there are other tracks that have moving parts where those parts will still move even in this glitch state of the game, so you can change the cycle of things. And Optic showed a proof of concept of what you can do on lap 2 with the train on Whistle Stop Summit if you wait just the right amount of time at the start and in order to desync the train with where it should be, and this lets you take the final rail shortcuts way faster than you normally would be able to. The only problem is this track is already so tough to play, and being forced to restart a lot would be extremely time-consuming and not fun to try and make the strategy work. And just to see this for myself, I actually tested this entire glitch on Whistle Stop Summit, and yes, the train just keeps moving. I managed to start a time trial and race against a ghost, where the ghost goes through the train, because that was an actual normal run of Whistle Stop Summit where the train is not here, but I have to fight with the train because I put it on a horrible cycle for myself. Salty Salty Speedway also has potential because instead of using a charge jump in order to get up to a higher spot, which is slower, you could desync the boat so that the boat will be in the perfect spot in order to help you jump up there. Peach Beach also has potential because we're grabbing coins from these Shy Guys with boats, and we could reposition them with a glitch. But all of these have one thing in common. If you are able to get a solid run with one of these strategies, you threaten to dethrone the player with the world record, and that gets people's attention. And when there are completely untapped strategies with unknown potential, anyone can get the record. So if you want to get the record first, you need to be fast. Not just drive fast through the track, you need to get the record before somebody else gets it first. So if you were wondering why Pluto chose to wait for 12 hours instead of waiting for, 100 hours, well, that's why. Maybe you're more likely to get the record by waiting 100 hours, but you're also more likely to have somebody take the record before you. And who wouldn't want to be the first to ever claim a glitch world record on a track? On December 8th, 2025, after 15 hours of waiting, Pluto gets his best run yet. He has a great starting spot just before the final boost panel, which puts him already 3 seconds ahead of the typical starting position. So he has one try to finish a run of Crown City and not lose more than 3 seconds. Coming around the first turn, there is immediately a car to trick on, but the next car is farther than usual, which requires him to hold the charge jump for a lot longer. It means he cannot go for the usual pole and wall tricks that are used to make the world record run faster. Soon after this, he successfully makes the big mushroom shortcut behind the wall, and here begins the straight section. This section is very dependent on luck, as you need to trick on particular cars to get you more coins while you are not on the rails grabbing coins. And unfortunately, there are just not a lot of cars here at the moment. So at the final rail, Pluto tricks off to the left, attempting to get 2 more coins here, but misses one of them. Going into lap 2, he only has 15 coins instead of the usual 18. He started 3 seconds ahead, and not only has he already lost 1 full second, he's going to lose more to having a low coin count. After the next 2 coins on the rail, the world record run now would have 20 coins. And this may not seem like a big deal between 20 and 17, but because of a quirk with how coins work in this game, being at 20 coins is significantly faster than being at 17. For this exact character and vehicle combo, being at 17 coins gives about a 3% increase in your top speed. But if you get just those last 3 coins, that bumps you all the way up to a 5% speed increase, which is a massive difference. That's just how the coin curve works. So for the next little while, Pluto is constantly losing time. Understanding that it's still going to be a challenge despite having a big lead, Pluto continues to go for risky strategies, as he'll need everything he can get, and he actually pulls off some impressive edge tricks. Now, he misses one here on the left due to inaccurate alignment, but then gets the next one. He tries to go for 2 coins in the air, but barely misses and only grabs 1. After the next coin, this puts him at 19 coins going into the glider, which is a really bad situation because the 20th coin is so valuable. So instead of going for the entire strategy on the left side that the world record would normally go for, Pluto decides to descend down and grab just 1 coin on the rail to finally hit 20 coins, and this is worth it. Now, going into lap 3, he has lost another full second to the world record. So he's only 1 second ahead now, but finally on an even playing field, 20 coins to 20 coins. But he only has 1 try to set a good lap 3 time. And lap 3 is tough. The way that the world record does the double shortcut looks like this: jumping into the air and tricking on the tree to skip the turn over these buildings. In his run, Pluto goes for it and fails. After barely holding the entire run together by a thread, he finally finds himself behind world record pace. He ends the run with a 2 minutes 4 seconds 0.8, which is only 0.4 seconds behind the world record. This is really close and really impressive for just one attempt. But as it turns out, starting out 3 seconds ahead of the world record was not as big of an advantage as it first seemed. The very cars that push you forward and make this entire glitched run even possible to begin with, they also add the greatest challenge to beating this run. But even with that added pressure, it's not as simple as that. It sounds like the longer you wait, the more you get pushed forward by the cars. That is what was initially assumed to be true. But here's the problem. On this screen, you cannot move the camera. So as you get pushed farther and farther and farther away by the cars, the only way you can try to guess what your position is by how quiet the sound effects are from the car collision. The farther away your character gets, the quieter this sound effect gets, all the way until the car collision can no longer be heard. Yeah, after a certain amount of time, it goes completely silent, and at that point, you just have to guess where you are. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't really make sense. If we know how far the cars will push you on average, then can't we just predict where we'll end up? Like, if you wait twice as long, shouldn't you get pushed twice as far? That's only kind of true. Because here's the problem. Whenever you get pushed forward, you can also get pushed just a little bit to the side. And if you're unlucky enough, then you eventually get pushed out of the way of the car's path. So if enough cars push you slightly to the side, eventually the cars don't push you at all because they don't run into you anymore. And of course, it's hard to get a clip of this because we can't see a single thing. So even if you wanted to wait, say, 40 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours, there's no guarantee that that time is even doing anything for you. And remember, the longer that you wait, the fewer attempts you will get to do. And when there is time pressure that somebody else could take the record before you, what are you supposed to do? But then there's more. When you're waiting on this screen, you actually just have to wait. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you can go do anything you want in life as long as you're not using this particular Nintendo Switch 2 console. And so, if you wait for 12 hours and then attempt a run, you haven't played Mario Kart in 12 hours. Most world record runs come after having a lot of practice and warm-up, but to just play a single race and try to get the world record after 12 hours, that's tough. Want a bigger head start? Wait for 24 hours. Oh no, now you haven't played Mario Kart in 24 hours. Now you might be saying, Shortcat, the answer is simple. Get another Nintendo Switch 2. And what I have to say to that is, look, you're right, but that costs $500. Well, maybe borrow one from a friend who's not using it at this moment. Okay, great. How about I just borrow from all the friends I can, and we set up all of these Nintendo Switch 2s, all just waiting on the Crown City screensaver. We're gonna set them all to wait for 20 hours. That way, after 20 hours, I get a bunch of attempts in a row. Do you see what's happening? The Crown City world record is pay to win. The more money you have, the more consoles you can buy, and then the more you can attempt this world record, and that's just really messed up. That's not okay, is it? Mario Kart World has pay-to-win world records. So I actually went and asked Pluto, do you have a second Switch? Pluto did not pay to win. Or at least, that's what he says. To all of you watching, you may want to check if your Nintendo Switch 2 is still where you last put it. So we have this newly discovered strategy that can potentially be used to break the world record on Crown City, but you have to balance the amount of time you spend waiting for a better start with the amount of tries you actually get to have, while technically also being the first ever pay-to-win world record in Mario Kart. Pluto's not actually paying to win, but someone could come along and do that. And you also have to get to the record before Nintendo likely patches this out, and then you'll never be able to attempt it again. So in a race against the clock, but also a unique cooperation with the clock, Pluto got to work to make history. Pluto was doing at least one attempt each day where he would set up the glitch and leave it waiting as he went to sleep, while also recording the game footage that entire time, and then go to sleep, wake up, and go about his day. Then when it's almost time to start the run, he would go through the footage to find out at what point he could no longer hear the sound of his vehicle being hit by cars, and use that to predict approximately how far he has been pushed. Then he would get one attempt at a world record. Yes, he is starting several seconds ahead, but he is not allowed to even make one mistake, no restarting. And he still has to improvise exactly what to do with the cars, because it's different every single time. These runs inevitably all fail. Due to a combination of making mistakes or having bad luck, Pluto would have to end this run, do some regular practice on Crown City to stay sharp, and then repeat for the next day. And unlike the regular time trial world record, Pluto has to use quick thinking and improvise car bounces on the spot. So in some weird way, this speedrun is actually testing his skill to a greater degree. One attempt only, random car patterns, and the greatest amount of pressure to make Mario Kart World history. And before Nintendo stops you forever. Pluto continued to do attempts on each of the following days. 5 days later, on December 13th, 2025, on his 8th attempt in 7 days, this happens. Pluto waits for 21 hours straight and finds his vehicle to be starting far past the final boost panel, putting him ahead of the world record by 4 seconds. This is the biggest lead he has ever started with, and Nintendo is definitely aware of the glitch by now, so he has to make this one count. Starting off, he does a charge jump to carry the speed from his start boost into the air, which is what you would normally do with the speed boost from the boost panel, which was behind him. Coming to the cars, you can see here he's charging his jumps for a bit longer than usual, especially going onto the second car, and doing this is a bit slower, but missing the car would be catastrophic since every coin matters. He again skips the pole and wall tricks on the left since the car is not quite at the right spot. The first big test is the shortcut behind the wall near the grass. Pluto goes for it, and he nails it perfectly. Then, surprisingly, there is a car exactly where it needs to be for him to get onto the rail as early as possible and barely do the world record strategy of using the car boost to carry that speed into the next charge jump, which perfectly lands on the rail. This sequence saves a ton of time, but unfortunately, there is no car to bounce on anymore in this section. So Pluto goes up to the final divider and misses the trick on purpose. This is to reduce his speed and make it easier to line up through the next 2 coins. Because at this point, coins are more important than each trick boost. And unlike his earlier attempt, which had him at 15 coins, he is now going into lap 2 with 16 coins. And as you're about to see, this is going to make a huge difference. So far, in all of lap 1, Pluto has lost 1 second out of his 4-second head start. So he is ahead of the record by 3 seconds, but with fewer coins, and the hardest section is still yet to come. He collects 2 coins on the rail to get to 18 coins, and at this point, the world record run has just hit 20 coins. And because of the coin curve, that means that Pluto is rapidly losing time until he can find his 20th coin. But even then, this run is just too good to give up, and he plays it safe. Pluto stays a little further from the edge and misses 2 edge tricks, but he does get this 3rd edge trick before the boost panel. He flies through the coins in the air and does a side trick to stretch out Wiggler's hitbox in the hopes of grabbing 2 coins, but this is really tough and he barely misses it. But it's okay because we have 1 more coin coming up. And at the moment that Pluto touches this coin, we are now finally on an even playing field. 20 coins to 20 coins, and Pluto is 2 seconds ahead of the world record. But he only gets 1 try to make it happen. This time, because he does not need any more coins, he can go for the world record strategy on the left. He takes the glider towards the rail above the signs, does some tricks, and tricks onto the wall. But he has already made a mistake. See, the world record tricks at the very tip of this rail, which gives a longer speed boost than usual once you're on the wall. Then you need to ride the wall until your boost sparks turn orange to give you a bigger boost when you land. It's all very precise. In fact, the world record does this so precisely that you cannot even see the sparks turn orange while riding the wall, but the length of the boost is in fact longer. Then you have to trick off the edge here and you can go for the tree. But if you slightly mess up this tree shortcut, you can actually fall out of bounds. So at this point, Pluto has already tricked too early off this rail. Feeling nervous, he gets onto the wall and jumps off just before the boost turns orange. Then he drives over the edge and misses the trick. Pluto is 2 seconds ahead of the world record, and he is about to fall off the track. And if that happens, he has to reset the run and sit on this failure for at least the next 21 hours, at which point he will get to try again, but only if he's lucky. Nobody knows this fact better than Pluto himself, so he does the only thing he can do, a right trick. Then another right trick. If he lands on the green rail, it's over. That takes him out of bounds. Pluto sticks the landing. What just happened was very slow. He's losing time, but he's still alive. And he is still 1.5 seconds ahead of the world record going into lap 3. Next up is the double grass shortcut, and this is the ultimate test of precision and composure. He's failed this one before, so he knows what's at risk. Pluto makes it perfectly. He is still over 1 second ahead of the world record. The best strategy at this point is to charge jump onto the green rail and left trick into the wall. The wall detaches you, which gives you a launch forward, and then you can do one extra precisely timed trick on the rail before jumping off. This takes the entire grass shortcut, followed by a boosted charge jump at the pole that barely makes it, leading to a fast ending through the next rail and the next pole. That's what the world record does, but Pluto knows he has a huge lead, and with months of top-level experience on Crown City, he knows exactly what to do here. He jumps onto the green rail and does not trick into the wall. Instead, he goes for the more consistent left trick and skips the trick afterwards. He still takes the shortcut, just slightly slower, but a lot safer. Because he knows that this time difference is okay to lose. But it's not over yet, because this is the final section of the course where we have to deal with cars. And there just happens to be a car moving between Pluto and the pole. This car, which is not usually here, is now standing between him and the first ever glitch world record on Crown City. But something you have to know about Pluto is he's not just a time trialer who memorized the best strategy. He's not just your typical speedrunner who does the same thing every time. Pluto is an incredible online competitive Mario Kart player, and in real high-pressure races, he has dealt with every car cycle imaginable. So even though this is different, Pluto does not blink. He does the charge jump and confidently aims for the rail. He follows it up with a perfectly timed trick off the rail, which leads him right onto the final rail and the pole, finishing out the run with a trick off the curb. This is the first ever glitch world record on Crown City. It's finally been achieved, a 2 minutes 3 second 0.4, and it is nearly a full second faster than the previous world record. To get this run, Pluto spent a combined total of 150 hours waiting for the glitch setup to complete, an average of 19 hours per run, yet only about 16 minutes of actual attempts at the world record. But he made that time count, as Pluto is now cemented in the record books as the first player to set a world record with the most ridiculous and time-consuming glitch in Mario Kart history. So I know a lot of you are probably now thinking, why? Why do this? Why wait for 150 hours to play the game for just 16 minutes to achieve, what, a cheated speedrun? Pluto isn't going any faster than his previous world record. In fact, he lost 3 seconds out of his 4-second head start. So what was the point of any of this? Well, I want to share with you something that Pluto told me after he got this world record. He said that run can still be improved. Then he told me about how he had checked the cars that were spawning in throughout the waiting period and realized that a special coin car that usually doesn't show up at all will actually show up at certain times. And if you figure out how to time the start of your run just right, then you can use that to get to 20 coins even earlier than the world record does and save a huge amount of time. And that's not to mention just figuring out how to optimize car cycles in general, because you can sort of pick when the cars show up and where, depending on when you start. Of course, that got me thinking, so I had an idea and asked him about pausing the game during the middle of the run to take a look at the car pattern ahead of him, so he can make a plan instead of just using quick reactions. And he had actually thought about this already. That's the thing about achievements like this. Regardless of what you think about it, it is an insane thing that happened thanks to a ton of time and work put into it, and I'm here talking about it, and you're interested in listening to it. And now you know, Pluto is a legend. Remember, he didn't cheese the world record, he already had the world record without using a glitch. And just to clear things up, this is not a cheated run in any way. If you go on the Mario Kart World Records website, which documents all of the history of world records on every track, and you check Crown City, this record is not there. Instead, it is in a separate category called Crown City Glitch. Remember, to say someone is cheating is to say that they are getting something unfairly by breaking the rules. But if you do a glitch and then get the glitch world record, then doesn't that make perfect sense? But maybe you still can't quite get rid of that nagging feeling that something still isn't quite right about all this. I mean, it still is a glitch. By definition, this is not the way the game is supposed to be played. But like, who cares how the game is supposed to be played? Did Nintendo design Mario Kart World so that we would play the intermission tracks most of the time online with almost no choice in which track you get to play? Absolutely, that is Nintendo's intention. Yet the community decided that the best player in the world is the one who wins the most in a different format, where everyone can pick whatever track they want, and the intermission tracks can show up, but they don't get picked very much, despite them being the majority of tracks in this game. The only reason why we do that is because the community has decided this is the most fun way to play the game. Did Nintendo intend for players to wait around for items on tracks with big shortcuts? Probably not, because if you wait around too long, then you get bad items and Lakitu picks you up. But also maybe yes, because they made the last place items overpowered. So of course we would want them if they're gonna help us win. But does that even matter? Like, who cares what Nintendo wants you to do in this game? You paid for the game, just play the game in the way that makes you happiest. And for some of us, the most fun thing really is something Nintendo wanted us to do. But also, wouldn't it be really fun to make a brand new discovery that opens up a whole new world of problem solving for you to apply your skills in new and creative ways in a high pressure environment where if you succeed, then glory awaits? I mean, isn't that why we do anything? So that's about it for this one, and in preparation for making this video, I decided to test out the glitch myself by waiting for 19 hours. Then I completed a whole run, and it wasn't all that fast, but it was cool to be able to try it out. After I did this, Pluto called me crazy. Yeah, I'm the crazy one. Well, guess who now has the third fastest run in the Crown City glitch category? Me, because only 3 players have actually attempted it, and I'll have it forever because Nintendo patched out the glitch.